Well, technical difficulties already. What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here with another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I am your host, Maximus Titan fan. I think I already said that, but not with me as always is Link. I think he's having a baby right now, which is actually pretty cool. So yeah, I'll let him slide on this one. But if you do notice somebody you probably recognize if you've watched this show, more than a couple times, Golden Griffin, what's up, bro? Courtland.
No much, man. Glad to be back. Back to be on Global Podcast, talking Titans, and hopefully we can get some clarity for fans and give some outlook for what 2025 is going to look like for us.
Awesome. Yeah. So if this is your first time with us, we do want you to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Obviously, we want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's where you get some exclusive stuff that you don't get normally. And if you don't know, Courtland Griffin's also the 3-point conversion analyst, journalist, and for halftime show, host of the halftime show. Sorry, brain fart there for a second.
No, it's all good, man.
And obviously, long time friend of the show. Gone on here I don't know how many times. We do appreciate every single time you come on because your insight is very much appreciated. Having that media access sometimes allows for a little bit more of an interesting talk.
For sure.
So we're going over some player grades. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the structuring and, maybe the ran firing a little bit, get your perspective on that. But let's just jump right into the player grades because, I guess that's the meat and potatoes of today's show.
For sure.
Quarterback's easy. Give Will Levis an F. And I give Mason Kinsey a D minus. Just because I expected, I expected the floor of Mason Kinsey. I did not expect the ceiling to be as low as it was.
Yeah. Mason Rudolph, you mean?
I did mean, why do I do that every single
time?
It's
because it's the first name thing. It's not. You're not the only person, believe me.
Man, I make fun of my wife all the time because she accidentally refers to Derrick Henry as Travis Henry.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get it, because Travis Henry was, a couple of years he was with us. Yeah, he was
and a UT Knoxville legend.
Exactly. So I understand. You know what I mean? I get it, but I giggle at it every time she does it. And here I am doing the same thing with Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you with those grades, man. I mean, I do give some slack to Mason Rudolph. And the reason is because I felt like the carpet was snatched from up under him as soon as he kind of it seemed like he was getting some momentum in the offense.
Right.
He comes in for Levis in that Miami game. They win that Miami game going away. And then it seemed like right as he was getting into the flow, it looks like the offense was kind of catching a rhythm. Levis comes back. Right. And
yep.
And so I give Mason a C minus just off the muscle of, the offense looked like it functioned, right? Outside of the first 7 weeks, it looks like Mason Kinsey comes in, or Mason, I did it too. Mason Rudolph comes in. When Mason Rudolph comes in, it just seemed like the offense looked like it ran smoother, and maybe that's familiarity with the system. And Rudolph looked like he was really close with Callahan for the most part. They looked like they were kind of vibing off of each other. With both of these guys, one being a veteran who's first year in Tennessee, and of course Callahan being a first year play caller and head coach. So he's starting to catch, they're both starting to catch some rhythm. But with Levis, there was no excuses in my opinion, right? We said, oh man, he didn't have this, he didn't have receivers and weapons, he didn't have a run game. All he had was the run game, right? He didn't have a full season, he didn't have a full off season. You got all of that. They went out and got Tyler Boyd. They went out and drafted a left tackle. They went out and brought in Tony Pollard and yeah, he is the
he is, yeah.
Which is probably, and he might be the only A grade in the entire room. But we went out and got all these things for Levis, and then you go and get the offensive minded coach that Titans fans and some of us media have been asking for and begging for, and then the preseason. I mean, preseason and training camp, it got all of us right. Like you see Levis throwing the 50-yard bombs in practice, and you see him carving up these teams and these defenses in the preseason, and then he gets into the first game of the year where you felt like we're going to beat this Chicago Bears team. And if you watch that first half, it looked like we had that game firmly in check, right? Second half, only thing you got to do is take care of the ball. You're moving the ball on that defense, and it's a shovel pass interception. It's a fumble. It's and it's just like a complete breakdown. And he does it. He proceeds to do that for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, giving us some of the most memorable Titans memes. I think the rest of the NFL enjoyed. And so yeah, man. So I mean, I think a F is a fair grade, and it sucks because you don't want to bash a player, and you hate to make it seem like you're just being overly critical, but in a situation where you've gotten everything that you could possibly have, right, outside of an all-pro right tackle and right side of the offensive line, you had a number one defense, dude. Like, you had the number one defense through 8 weeks, and you went 0 and I think we went 0 and 4. No, 1 and 4 or 1 and 3.
4, yeah.
1 and 3 in the first
Still.
4 weeks. 1 and 4 in the first 5, or first 6, because we had a bye week in week 5.
Yeah, still it was friggin' terrible, and in the worst way too. I mean, it's not like he just had some bad twist, some pop off the hands kind of interceptions. No, man, he's throwing it right into the numbers of the defensive, and he did it in his first year. And me and Link, I'm sure me and you even said it too, but if he catches those balls, completely different situation, or if they catch the balls. And now that's the situation we have. Not only is he throwing that many interceptions, but he's getting like happy feet and flinging the ball sideways, thinking he's, Pat Mahomes or something like that, and creating just, like you said, very memorable Titans memes.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you lose games by what seemed like just a hair, like if that interception doesn't happen, who knows, right? The Titans go from being 1 and 4 to maybe 4 and 1, right? Was the play calling perfect? No, right? It's
not, especially not early.
But most first year play callers, like, it's never going to be perfect, right? And that guy's learning just like you're learning. But you as the quarterback, your job is to take care of the ball. You are executing the play on the field. So
yes,
you have to help your coach out, right? And I feel for Callahan because, I mean, his heart was in it. You can tell talking to him every Sunday, his heart's in this game. His heart was in the locker room. His heart was on the sideline, and he left everything that he could possibly. And I mean, he called some great fucking games. Excuse my language. He called some great.
No, he did.
Year. First part of the year, it was kind of chunky, clunky, right? Like run, pass. It was, oh well, we're passing too much here, we're running too much here, we're not stretching the ball when we should be, we're not attacking the secondary that we probably should have. And then as the season went on, it's like, dude, like we're averaging 2.4 yards of separation. Guys are getting open downfield, and Will just can't find them. Like he's running into sacks, he's throwing interceptions, and he's refusing to take checkdowns. And so, yeah, man, it's like, I mean, an F is a fair grade for him.
Yeah, the most frustrating part for me with Levis is even after he comes back. What's up, Aaron? He comes back from the injury and or injury benching, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of both.
And he's playing, he's playing safe ball. I mean, he's playing safe ball. And even playing safe ball, he was still turning the ball over. I mean, it was so insane. And then at the end, he was just like, again, trying the hero crap. And of course, it got him benched yet again.
You play, I mean, the Vikings game, you can't blame them. That's one of the best teams in the NFL. It's one of the best defenses in the league, right? You can't blame them, right? But you play these 5 weeks of football, and it was like he's finally got it. The light bulb went off. Thank God. This is the Will Levis that we thought we were going to get all season long. And if this is the Will Levis we had got, if we had got Houston Will Levis all season long, he still has there's no question about it. We're going to Abdul Carter number 1. Right? And we might not even be the number 1 pick, right? So we probably wouldn't even have to worry about that. Right? But the fact that you have games like this, and this even goes back to last year, where you have a Pittsburgh Steelers game, right? You have a Miami Dolphins game. You have a first half of the Texans in the second half, the second game, right? Where you're carving this defense up. And it's like we see the promise. We see this guy that has all of this potential. Every physical gift that if you're building a quarterback on on College Football 25 or Madden, it's Will Levis if you're talking about physicals, right? But then it's like take all of the physical abilities that you can possibly have and put Zach Wilson's brain in it, and it's like you get Will Levis. And it's sad, and because I was growing to like the guy. I was actually growing to like, okay, you weren't the guy that I wanted, right? You weren't the guy that I thought we were going to pick, but hey, you're my quarterback. You're on the team. Got to support you, right? Yep. And then you grow on me in your rookie season. I'm like, you're way better than what I thought than Tannehill. So I don't know why we didn't roll with you to begin with.
Yep.
Right. And then you beat out everyone else. You play better than everyone else. You earn the starting job. It's a new regime. You have nothing but first impressions to give. And you come out and you do this. And so, like I said, it's I mean, we're throwing shit at a in a dump. But it's it's but it's I mean, we can go on and on for hours, I'm pretty sure, between the two of us. And I'm pretty sure the fans that are watching, right? I mean, we can all say that it was a roller coaster ride, but all in all, I mean, we're right back at square one. We're right back at where we were in 2008. We're right back where we were in 2005 after Steve left, right? We're right back where we were when we drafted Jake Locker with the 11th overall pick. Like, we're right back, or 10th overall pick, I'm sorry. We're right back there, right? Like, we got this guy. He shows some promise for a couple of games here and there, or we got this guy who's highly touted and everyone loves what he is. And 2 years later or a year later, we're staring down the barrel of we have a quarterback issue.
Yeah, all right. Let's stop talking about the quarterback.
Yeah, it gets depressing.
I was gonna say I'm just depressed, man, and I'm gonna skip over the next just to get to some happy stuff. Running backs, Tony Pollard, man. I have to say, before the season, I was quoted many times, brought back up on social media a lot because it didn't age well. But I was quoted many times in saying that Tajay Spears was going to be the clear number 1 by the end of the season. Because I felt like it was just going to be a breakout season for him. And I mean, he did all right. I'm not going to lie.
Injuries derailed him and it sucked. But
yeah, I mean, but I'm not upset about it. The point is that I was incredibly and continually impressed throughout the season with Tony Pollard. Oh, yeah. I mean, the 10+ yard runs is a ridiculous number. I mean, it's up in the 30s or 40s. Like, it's such a stupid number of how many times he got a first down just by himself.
He was chunking them. I mean, he was chunking plays every game. It seemed like he was breaking of 10, 15 yarders, second efforts. I mean, we ain't right back where Will has experience now. I mean, hey, man, whatever helps you sleep.
Yep. There you go.
But I mean, Tony Pollard, man, he's not Derrick Henry, right? On a scale of Chris Brown to Earl Campbell. I mean, right. I mean, he's another Titans running back that came in and did what Titans running backs do, which is rush for 1,000 yards. We have the longest streak of 1,000-yard rushers in the NFL. We trip and fall into running backs. It's not like it's not even close. It's not even close. Like we can cut every running back we have on the roster right now, take somebody's practice squad running back, and they're probably going to go on to get 1,000 yards. It's one of the football gods, like they love us enough. They loved us enough, and they blessed us to say, like, whatever the Oilers Titans franchise does, they can suck forever, right?
They're gonna have good
great
running backs.
right? So, I mean,
That's
like you
actually
said,
pretty
the
true.
guy was a big play waiting to happen. And I kind of felt that he was going to be that anyway. Coming from Dallas, where he rushed 4,000 yards last year with them behind a beat up offensive line that they had. And then coming in this year, power left was, I mean, we were sitting the booth, at Nissan, me, Buck, Terry, Teresa, Tehran, all the guys. Shout out to those guys, Titans Media. And we would just, you could call it power left. It's coming. 1st and 10. We're on our own 35-yard line. Power left's coming. JC Latham, Peter Skoronski, Cushenberry, they clear out a hole. And there goes number 20 down the left sideline. Like, I mean, you call it, and it was there. Right side, not so much, but I mean, like I said, the guy just did a hell of a job this year, and he was one of the consistent bright spots. And mind you, he played the last 6 weeks of the season with a high ankle sprain, and not just a regular one. Like, he was getting tape and ice and tape and ice, and they were working on the sideline, and he just goes out and runs, rips off a 12-yarder.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, continually impressed, man. Didn't expect him to start some of those games. And not only did he start, but yeah, like you said, he had many explosive plays throughout the game. The only negative thing I could even come up with about Tony Pollard, and this is why he gets an A from me, which I do not give A's out very, very easily. Usually my highest grade is a B. But anyway, his receiving could be just a little bit smoother. If he could catch the ball with a little bit more grace and in stride, then I would say
was a quarterback play, but
no argument for me there.
Yeah. Now, is he Tajay?
No.
Is he Tajay receiving the ball? No,
not receiving. No.
Yeah, I think Tajay is a better receiver of the football. I know that's not like football terms, but excuse me, I'm not. My brain's not football. I haven't turned the football on yet. It's coming. But I mean, Tony. I mean, even when he did catch the ball, I think sometimes we put him in a really tough spot to make something happen. You put a running back out, on top of the numbers, and you tell him come back and catch a hitch and turn around and there's a defender in your face.
Yeah,
it's hard to get something happening. Or hey, catch this ball 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, where everybody and their mom knows that that's what we're doing, and hopefully the center, or not the center, but the safety or the outside linebacker doesn't just cut you in half. So I think, honestly, with Callahan's second year coming up as a play caller, right? I think that's going to change. You saw him start to change some of it, start to kind of get those guys leaked out the backfield on those wheel routes. Some of them, on those China routes, kind of getting mismatches on linebackers. You started to see him do a little bit better than that. So, I mean, the guy's not Jerry Rice, or Roger Craig. I'm not expecting him to be that. I just expect you to catch the ball when it gets there to you. And I think he does offer something that we haven't had in this offense for at least 7 years. Because, I mean, as much as Derek was great with screen passes, I mean, he didn't threaten you downfield. He didn't make you, he didn't scare you as a cornerback if you're lined up on 22. But if you lined up on number 20 or you lined up on number 2, you got your work cut out for you. So
yeah, you definitely got to stay loose. You can't commit too early,
right?
Like you could with 22, because he's just gonna try and bulldoze.
Shout out to that guy though, and I'm glad they lost.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad they lost in the playoffs. I'm sorry guys, like I'm so happy that they lost. I did not want to see Derrick Henry hoist Lombardi like for another team.
I mean, I get that point of view, but then at the same time, I just No, I don't know.
Like
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for the players, man. I want to see everybody get a ring. I just want
I
to
saw
be
him be successful,
everybody's.
right? 1,800, almost 2,000
Hey,
yards, right?
yeah, he's one of the greatest running backs already. You know,
Yeah,
already
yeah.
he's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest running backs to ever play the game. So I mean, I think that's cemented. So I mean, yeah, I guess he really don't need a ring. But like I said, I'm a sucker for the players. I can't help
Right.
it. I will say one play that we were talking about play calling with Brian Callahan and Tony Pollard. And the one play that I saw a couple times that really got me excited about the way Callahan does his thing. I even talked to my wife at length about it, and she got really annoyed with me because it was very technical. But he kept throwing these out routes, that were basically wide receiver screens. Drop
Yep.
the wide receiver behind, in the trip and drop him behind,
Yeah.
and then they would line up that way, and the receivers would do the exact same thing, and he would fake it and then draw to Tony Pollard, and oh my gosh, man, we saw that 4 or 5 times. That was
That is a
uber
Sarkeesian special.
successful.
Yeah, that's a Sarkeesian special.
It's beautiful.
And if you watch Texas play, we ran a lot of Sarkeesian like plays. It's Steve Sarkeesian's playbook essentially. Him, Zach Taylor, right? Those guys they all run a kind of a Sarkeesian, modified air raid, modified West Coast kind of offense. So it's a lot of vertical stuff, but also off the thread of that vertical, right? And like they throw screens, and then off the thread of that screen and that vertical, now you're put in a predicament, right? Because I mean, Max, as you know, you've coached football and you coach football. When you're coaching most quarterbacks, you're cutting the field in half, right? You're cutting that box in this
Yep.
imaginary box, and I got taught this as a receiver. You cut that imaginary box in half, so now you got to live him in on the field. You're 9 times out of 10, you're going to have 7 on one side and 4 on one side, or 5 and 6 on one side. You're trying to isolate that safety in that corner. Whatever those guys are doing is going to tell you what the guys down front are doing. So you fake a screen out here and you cut that field in half. Well, now you've got everyone flowing to one side. You're trying to shift the momentum. So now once I get everybody threatened to throw, oh, Calvin Ridley's over there, right? Fake that screen to Calvin. Now I get to draw it to number 20. Well, now the linebackers just shifted to one side of the field. Now it's pick a hole and get gone.
Yep.
So I mean, like you're right. I mean, he used that. That's a bread and butter play. And like I said, I think he built off of that. And it's going to be fun now. You get to build. I mean, hopefully you get to build something with some newer players, some newer faces. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Number 1 overall pick, and and get to see what it looks like with a competent signal caller.
Yeah, and so we've been ending our shows with like score predictions, bold predictions, crap like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're in our off season, I've decided that we should end our show every day every week with saying who we would pick for the number 1 overall draft pick. So be thinking about that while we're doing the show. But
one guy in mind.
Tajay Spears, I expected big things from him. Like I said earlier, I thought he was going to be the clear number 1 by the end of the season. Didn't quite give me what I wanted in rushing, but made up for it in receiving. Man, he is so good in open space and quick and twitchy, but the injury bug kind of got him this year. Hoping that
it was nothing like. It was nothing major, right? Like, I mean, concussions are major, right? Let me not say that concussions are.
Yeah, he had a concussion, but
he had 2.
Other than that, I think. Yeah. Oh, did he have 2?
Yeah, 2. The hamstring, and then of course he had a concussion that kept him out early in the season. And then went out with a concussion last week of the season.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I mean, if I had to give a guy a letter grade, I mean, shit, C+ for me. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't the greatest. And I mean, when he was in the game, like you said,
I gave him a B-, but yeah, we're saying the same.
I mean, I've never seen a guy cut on a dime like that. Like, I mean, he's going vertical, and then all of a sudden he cuts and he's. I'm not taking Tyler Warren number 1 overall. But But I mean, like to see a guy get lateral that quick and then get vertical again, right? Like the play he had against the Texans, where I mean he darted and he's up the right side. I mean he's up the left sideline, and it looks like he's leaving everyone in the dust, and he probably 9 times out of 10 he scores on that play. He's the intensity that you wanted.
Yeah.
Right. He's the intensity that you wanted. And he's going to be one of those electric players. I mean, I think, like I said, this year it was a learning curve to see what you got. Right. And I predicted early on in the season, much to the chagrin of a lot of Titans fans, that we would win no more than 5 games this year. And it wasn't because we were bad. I felt like we were bad. I just felt like we were learning. Right. I felt like this was a learning season. See what you got on the roster. What are these guys good at? What are they bad at? What makes them tick? What motivates them? What gets them happy? What gets them sad? What games do they get up for? Right. And I think Tajay Spears just got up to, for seeing linebackers be one-on-one with him, he felt disrespected. So you know, and in the locker room, I'll put the media hat on here. He was one of the guys that after a loss, you could tell it bothered him. It truly bothered him. Jeff was more vocal about it, but Tajay would sit in his locker and just kind of look like around the locker room, like with I can't believe this is where we are oozed off him. And so, I mean, coming into this year, I think you're going to see a much improved. I expect him to put on some weight. And I expect him to come back because he ran violent. Like, I don't know if you noticed, like it seemed like Tony was more of a make a guy miss. And Tajay was like, I'm gonna run through your face. Like
he was not scared of contact, that's for sure.
So I don't know if that's good for his health or not, but but if he's gonna play like that, I mean, hey, go put on 10 to 15 pounds, man, and let's see where you are, you know. But like I said, I think he's a C+. I think he has room to grow. Second year in the league, and you're getting to learn from one of the consummate pros in Tony Pollard. So I mean, he's not behind a guy who's terrible. And mind you, a guy that we unfortunately is playing another uniform. His first 2 seasons, he was sharing carries with people, and we thought, man, this guy's explosive, and when is he going to get his opportunity? In his 3rd season, he hit the ground running, and that was, you know, for the next 6 seasons, he was one of the best in the league. I'm not saying that's going to be Tajay Spears, but I do believe that he's going to have he has a long career ahead of him. Yeah, he has a long career ahead of him, for sure.
All right, yeah, let's. You know, I don't really care about the wide receivers. I'm going to blast through them because I kind of got what I thought. Well, except from Tyler Boyd, he was kind of a disappointment. But Calvin Ridley, I gave him a B because he had a slow start. Other than that, I think he did pretty good.
I'm a little more critical.
Oh yeah, go. What you
got? I gave him a C, just off the muscle of I felt like he would. It seemed like he was another one. Like he got up for a game, like the Detroit game. I was like, finally, boom, he's got it. Like this is the game as a receiver. It clicked for you. 150 yards in the first half. It's go time from here. And then next week, he's down in the dumps. Next week he's down in the dumps. Next week he doesn't show up. Then the following week it's a boom, another explosion. And so like I said, whether that was the play calling or not, it did also seem like he was a little bit emotionally detached from the team sometimes.
Yeah, I will say that I think he was hurt by trading DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know if it really hurt or helped though, because to be honest, his numbers didn't increase until DeAndre was gone.
I think it helped him, but what I mean by emotionally detached from the team, like it just kind of seemed like he was like, I want to get my numbers right. Yeah, it doesn't matter that we're only, you know, we're 1-6 right now. You know, get me the ball. And it's like, dude, you've only put 1 W on in the column right now. Like if getting you the ball is what's going to help us win, then great. But we've gotten you the ball and it hasn't helped us win yet. So
Not done none. Yep.
yeah, I gotta find out something, and so I gave him a C. 1,000-yard season, great, right? First player to ever do it with 3 different franchises. Those are all great. Individual accolades, career accolades. Those are things that you get to put on your Hall of Fame resume if he's lucky enough to get one. But as of right now, as a Tennessee Titans receiver, dude, you got to show up because we're paying you like a top 10, top 15 guy. And
yeah,
I don't know if he's noticed, every year there's receivers that do what Calvin Ridley's done and have done, and they're getting better every year, right? Like Malik Neighbors and those guys came in. BTJ was Brian Thomas Jr. was 3rd in the league in receiving this year.
Mm-hmm.
So either you get with it or get gone, buddy. Like that's
yeah,
in the field right now. So
yeah, I feel it. And the next one, I thought this was great because Tyler who?
another
Tyler
guy
Boyd?
who got ravaged by injuries and just I
Gonna
think
say,
he's
man,
really lost a step.
I really thought he was gonna be a really good acquisition, and he just turned into a big fat nothing.
Yeah, man.
It sucked.
I called
so I
it
gave him a D.
and and the thing about it is, I thought for sure like he's coming back. He's going to be in the Callahan offense. He's familiarity.
Yep.
But I'm a little more liberal with the grade that I gave for him. I gave him a B-, and it's really because he's one of those installer guys, right? He's a guy that you brought in because you're installing a system. He's been in your system. You bring him in to teach everybody else, and I think he did that very well. Jaquan Jackson came along, even though he didn't get much playing time in practice, like during the offseason and like training camp. Jaquan was making plays, and the guy who he was standing next to most of the time was number 83. So I think he did his job as a teacher of the system. But he truly lost his step, man. And I fought against it. I fought against Bengals fans all offseason. Like, no, the guy's gonna be fine. You guys just didn't know how to use him. He didn't want to be there anymore. You guys made a mistake in cutting him, and now I have to eat crow. So
players make us do that every now and then. I do like Bryce Oliver, but more for his return ability than although he did not he made the most of his opportunities.
He had some big catches.
Yeah, he had 7 targets, 6 receptions. So I mean, that's
some of those were like I think one of those was like a 32-yard reception from Levis, I think. So like, I mean, the kid.
Yeah, he had some pretty nice ones to keep us in games and stuff. Yeah,
the kid can play. I mean, 80 can play, and I drew the parallel to him this season between him and NWI. If you remember when NWI first came to the team, he was a free agent out of Indiana. And who is this kid? Who is Nick Westbrook-Akine? Like, that's a weird name. Like, who is this guy? And he got in the game and he made special teams plays and he made a couple of catches here and there. Then he started making starts. And then from those starts, he had some big games. And then from those big games, it turned into now he was like 4th or 5th in the league this year in touchdowns.
Yeah.
So it's like if Bryce Oliver can mimic that career arc, right? If he can kind of mimic being that Mr. Reliable, or as they call him, Honda Civic, the Honda Civic, of the team. Hey, I'll bring it on. All right. I'd rather have that guy than anyone else. And it's probably going to suck that we're going to lose 15 this year.
Yeah, we are. I mean,
but
somebody's going to overpay him.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty sure you're going to bring him up next. And that guy to me gets an A+. I mean, dude.
I mean, come on, man. He got 9 touchdowns and 56 targets.
He didn't really play much like the first 6 weeks of the year. So he did all of that in like a 9-week span. So the guy was ridiculous.
I will say this, that I've made comments before about Nick Westbrook-Akine gets open because he is lost in coverage. Because he's the last guy that teams are looking at, and I make those jokes, but I'm not sure that was completely inaccurate, because as soon as like the league started taking notice of this guy, he got a couple more touchdown passes, but then it was silent. It was like crickets for the last 3 weeks. He was, so I mean, taking nothing away from what he did. Like I said, I'm sure he's going to get a nice contract from like Miami or somebody like that, who's looking for a number
Going to end up
3.
in New England.
Oh, God, you're right. My God, you are absolutely right, because he's one of the best blocking wide receivers you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's what kept him on our team for so long, is that he was good in blocking and he would get lost in coverage and, be completely wide open sometimes.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, deserving great grades, deserving of a good contract. I don't think he's going to get it from the Titans, but
No.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't get it from the Titans.
Well,
but yeah, I hope he stays with the Titans. But for the money that I think he's going to get, no,
he's going to garner around, and this is just evaluation of like top 10 receivers and then like middle of the pack receivers. I think he's somewhere in between. Oh yeah,
11?
I think he's. I say 15 to 17 a year, and that's because he's somewhere in between. He's right in between, like the upward crust receivers and then like middle of the pack guys. I think he's better than the middle of the pack guys. I don't think he's as good as the upper crust guys. And so like I think he's like right in between there. And in the right system, I think he works. Because he's a big body. He does run really good routes. It's just in this system, you need athletes, right? He's coming, you gotta think Callahan's coming from Cincinnati, where he had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. and a spry young Tyler Boyd. And so I think Nick Westbrook-Akine works best in a 11 personnel, system. And I mean, New England's probably going to run that because Josh McDaniels is going to find a way to get you open.
Yeah, and like you said, man, he's in the Patriots, dude. I was thinking 11 million, but hey, I
don't want any Jacksonville Jaguars players. I'm sorry. Like keep them far away from here.
Oh yeah, damn! I didn't even see that comment yet.
I do not want to
go
back to the AFC South swap meet, man.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. Somebody mentioned the tackle that was coming out of there. I think it's a tackle that's coming out of there. And I was like, no.
Did you see their offensive line this year?
Yeah, I'm not really overly excited about that. So, but before we get into the offensive line and other offensive grading, got to throw out the sponsors real quick. So hang out with us. It's only a 40-second ad. What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here. Are you in need of professional excavation services? Look no further. Red Zone Builders has the expertise, experience, and equipment to handle all or any excavation project, big or small. Whether you need land clearing, site preparation, trenching, foundation excavation, or any other excavation services, they have you covered. Their team of skilled professionals will work diligently to ensure your project is completed safely, efficiently, and to your satisfaction. Trust the experts at Red Zone Builders to get the job done right. Boom. Told you it was quick, guys. Got to give the shout out to the sponsors. Plus, the guy at Red Zone is actually pretty damn cool. So there's that too. Anyway, on to offensive line. I actually want to make a couple points here, and I think we're on the same track. We talked a little bit about pre-show. J.C. Latham. Let's start with him, because a lot of people are on the belief that J.C. Latham is a bust pick, and thank you. What? I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I tell these people all the time, I'm like, you must not watch a lot of football then, because as a right tackle who's switched to left tackle,
people.
Yeah, I mean, he had 1,087 snaps at left tackle. Okay, that's the fourth most snaps at left tackle in the entire NFL. That's not among rookies. That's not among first round draft picks. That's among the entire NFL. So he had fourth in total snaps. And I don't have his freaking sack number, which is, I think, 4
Six
or
and a half.
6. Okay, still not that bad, man. He's a rookie. And
Mind you, all 6.5 of those came in 4 weeks.
thank you. Another thing I would like to point out is people like to throw Alt out there, but Alt did not play left tackle most of the season. He played right tackle, which is a lot easier. And you're basically just a glorified run blocker. I mean, you do have to pass block at right tackle. Obviously, that's why MPF sucks.
You're not facing the opponent's premier pass edge rusher.
Yes.
Playing.
Yeah, they always try to put him in the blind side. Unless you got a left-handed quarterback, your right tackle is not the most important guy on the offensive line. Your right tackle. It's always the left tackle. And J.C. Latham did a hell of a job. I give him a B. I didn't give him an A because I'm just a stickler. I don't believe in giving out A's that often. But I think he did a damn good job. I don't think there's anything really, and he's a mauler, man. I mean, he's a fucking beast, dude. Yeah. There's I put out a highlight video. If you have not seen that, you got to go check it out. But I put out a highlight video of JC Latham, and Jesus Christ, dude, he pancakes so many people. It's just ridiculous. He throws people, grown men. Yeah, giant grown men. He just throws them like they're nothing,
Max, I don't know if you remember. Right after the first round, right after day 1 of the draft, I put out a Twitter post, and I said my comp for Titans' newest left tackle, J.C. Latham. His biggest strengths: point number 1, athletic second level blocker. You tell me you stop me when I'm wrong. Okay, you stop me when I'm wrong. Athletic second level blocker, strong hands at the point of attack with ability to finish blocks, smooth lateral mover, nasty streak with top tier strength to anchor against bull rushes, swagger and confidence. His comp.
Ooh.
That was my comp for that guy. Do you know how many sacks Trent Williams gave up in his rookie season?
I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say 6.
12 sacks. He gave up 12 sacks in his rookie season. J.C. Latham gave up half of that. So again, like I don't like if this is your first time seeing me, and Max will tell you, I don't normally toot my own horn, but I do my homework on guys, right? As draft is an evaluation is my favorite thing to do. And when I saw him play at Bama, I was like, that is Trent Williams made over, right? That's an athletic stud of a tackle. That is Trent Williams, in my opinion, because he reminded me of Trent when he came out of college, out of Oklahoma. I was like, that. If this is just Trent Williams in a different body, right? And so, I mean, I don't have a grade for the kid. The kid's just a damn stud. I mean, he's just a stud. Like, whatever you want to. I mean, I don't disagree with you, Max. I don't disagree with Aaron, right? Anything above a B plus to me is I mean, hey, you didn't give him a bad grade, right? If you're grading on a curve. I mean, the kid got put on the island from day 1, and he held his own against some of the best. I mean, against Grenard, against with the Vikings, he didn't give up much of anything. I think he got beat by Danielle Hunter in the first matchup with the Texans one time. He didn't give up another sack the rest of the game. He got maxed up against Will Anderson. He didn't give up a sack the rest of the game. Like, he gave up 1 sack against both of those guys. He didn't give up a sack to either one of them the rest of the game. And we won that game going away. So, I mean, to say that the kid is a bust, I mean, do you watch football? Would be my question.
Thank you.
Because there's no way that you watch that kid. You watch number 55.
It's the same. I'll say this. It's the same thing I was saying about Peter Skoronski last year. Last year, I was telling everybody that, look, man, Peter Skoronski is going to be a hell of a lineman. We just got to get somebody that's a little more competent at left tackle. And, oh, my God, did he show up this year. I mean, the only guy other than Tony Pollard that got an A from me this year
Skoronski
was Peter Skoronski. That man is a grown ass man, dude. Talk about pancake. He was throwing people around.
and
Oh,
a hell of
man.
a football name, if I do say so.
Yeah, I know. I love Sko, man. I can't help it. Dudes, yeah. Just sounds nasty. By the way, I forgot to mention Latham's nasty, nasty ass stiff arm after he got was it a fumble? Yeah, it was a fumble
Yeah, it was a fumble
recovery he picked
recovery.
up.
Yeah.
I wanted him to score so bad, man.
Hey, both of our big men had some nasty stiff arms.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Big man
Dude.
stiff arms are back in Nashville, baby.
But yeah, I mentioned it with the same thing with J.C. Latham, 1,087 at left tackle. Peter Skoronski had 1,095 at left guard, sixth overall. Sixth. I mean, these two men played as much as the best guard and tackles in the NFL. And I mean, he held up pretty good. I think he had four. Was it 4 sacks on him? I can't remember.
Yeah,
My
I think so. I
stats
think
are
it's like
not in front of
4.
me.
I think it's like 4.5 or something like that. Like he didn't give up as many as it seemed like he gave up this year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it didn't.
It
There
seemed
was some
worse than what
skewed
it was.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna kind of blast through the other ones because I don't know. I get a little frustrated. Cushionberry, I guess he did all right, but to me it was below average. PFF, which I try not to read too much into their crap,
Yeah.
but he was below on every category.
I gave him an incomplete just because the Achilles injury and when it happened.
I was gonna say it really sucks.
You can't grade a guy who got hurt halfway into a poor season.
So. Yeah. I knew this was happening. By the way, I didn't. Brian.
Yay! They got Jason Garrett 2.0. Like it's
dude. Yeah, I was gonna say, man, Jerry Jones is God. He's Jerry Jones, man. You gotta love him. God love him. Thank you. There for a while we were getting kind of comparisons because of the actions our owner was taking, but not even close, bro. Not even close. I mean, Jim Irsay is the next Jerry Jones, if you ask me. He's micromanaging like a mother.
The Texans are right behind him. We're not talking about them. I'm sorry, we're not doing that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So MPF was absolutely terrible. Don't care to give him a grade. John Ojukwu wasn't as bad as you think he was.
No. I got anything between anything that played on the right side of Lloyd Cushenberry, it either got a D+ or like an F for me.
Yeah. All right. This is where I think we differ just a little bit because I am a Dylan Radins fan. And I feel like if there was a better right tackle next to him, he wouldn't have given up as many sacks as he did.
Fair.
And the fact that, like you said, with Skoronski and Latham, you could tell in the early part of the season that they were having trouble with the passing off of the, there's things about when you're next to a guy for so long, you kind of learn their traits, what they would like to do, what they don't like to do. So you kind of get a better feel for who you're, guarding with.
Right.
But for Radins, I mean, it was just a revolving door.
Yeah,
sometimes it was a revolving door during the game. I mean, he would have to play three different tackles. It was stupid there for a while. So I give him an asterisk, and I kind of give Dylan Radins a C because I felt like when they gave him that position that he was going to do an adequate job, and I feel like he did. Looking at his stats. And I feel like he could have done a lot better job had he had somebody better next to him. Plus, he's an extremely athletic tackle.
Here's where I thought the caveat was, right? And this is what I thought they were going to do. And I'm not questioning Bill Callahan. Of course, he's the greatest offensive line coach in NFL history. So he knows way more and has probably forgotten way more than I can tell him about offensive line play. But I thought they were going to move Radins to right tackle and move Brunskill to right guard. That didn't happen.
Nope.
Lloyd, and then it also did not help that Lloyd Cushenberry went down. So your starting center, your $50 million center, is injured, and now you have to move Brunskill to center. So like it just kind of hurt the shuffle. He was my D+ guy. Radens was my D+ guy, and like you said, he was sandwiched between mediocre and trash. So it's just like and that's not the crap on Levin. I think he did a great job filling in for what he was actually do, which is fill in for one of the best pass blocking centers in the game, and have to do a good job. But everyone else, like you said, MPF was just god awful. And this is a guy who in his first season, like it looked like we got a steal. Like this guy's a stud. How did he not go in the first round? We got him in the second. Jesus Christ! Like, and then the gambling thing happens, and then he comes back, and it just seems like he doesn't have the.
He's just not focused, man.
Yeah, he doesn't have the want to play football. Jaron Christian seemed like he was going to work out, and then it seems like they again pulled the rug right up from under him. When he had one of the best pass blocking games we've seen. All right, we had seen that in that game, and then I mean everything else, like you said, John Ojukwu wasn't as bad as people, made it seem. Yeah. Right. But I think they had a role for him, which was to be the designated sixth lineman.
Yeah,
and I mean he excels in that role, and so. I don't fault him for that, but it's just that right side of the offensive line was just terrible. And it reminded me, Max, and we lived through it the last 3 years. The left side of the offensive line was just god awful. And
yeah, you know how you were talking about the football gods grace us with great running backs? Yeah, they have shat on us for the last few years in tackles. Since Michael Ruse, no, Taylor Lewan. Since Taylor Lewan, we haven't had shit.
Remember, we had Bernard Hopkins, and we had so many guys: Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews. I mean, the list goes on and on. Then you come right after that, and
wasn't bad.
Yeah, and it's Kevin Mawai and Michael Ruse and Olsen and Big Country.
Oh, yeah, Benji Olsen.
Yeah, man, and then you come right after that, and you get. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of the offensive linemen we had, and that kind of helps with the fact that we had running backs. It helped the running backs too, and so I think right now the Titans are in a situation. We are in a situation where it's like we've neglected the offensive line, and we're paying for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that we've neglected it. We have spent 2 first-round draft picks over the last 2 years. But before that, and not saying that he didn't try, God bless, he got us a draft pick, all right. I mean, we had Wilson there for a little, I don't know.
Chance Warmack, I thought was going to be a hit.
I thought he was too. He played so good in college and then just didn't. I don't know. I don't know if he didn't have the attitude or what his deal was.
I don't know, man. He was too worried about Warmacking.
Oh, man. And that's so true, though. Some of these guys get so caught up in themselves, man, that they just lose sight. And honestly, I think that's what happened to Will Levis. I mean, I love the guy. I think his personality is fucking great. I'll be honest with you. I think if me and him were to, meet each other at a bar one night, we would probably get along great. Yeah, I was going to say we'd get along great.
Good time.
Seems funny. He's got a great sense of humor with the Mayo commercials and shit. I mean, seemed like a really, but I feel like his hubris got him a little bit, and I think that's what led into this. And then I think that quicksand that they talk about in the replacements is exactly what got him. His hubris got him to that fall, and then once he started falling, it was like the more he struggled, the worse it made him, man. And he just kept getting posterized, and
it also doesn't help that the fans, when you know that there's a Shedeur Sanders, that there's a Cam Ward coming out, right, and the fans are also watching, just like NFL teams are watching. It doesn't help your confidence when it's like fans are wearing paper bags at the game with Shedeur Sanders, glued on it, right? So this doesn't help your confidence. I mean, like I said, it's not the crap on that kid, man. Like he can only play with the card. You can only play with the hand you're dealt. So, but I mean, offensive line didn't help him out much.
Nope.
Either.
Nobody really did.
Yeah.
His wide receivers, I mean, he had them, don't get me wrong, in the beginning of the season, he had it. And we had Ernest Jones. I mean, we had so many things going for us that we didn't have at the end of the season. And I think that's what really people forget about is that we decided to tank. When we started trading off, when we traded off in the same week, Ernest Jones and DeAndre Hopkins, that was it. I knew we were in tank season. Even if we weren't saying it publicly, it was like, well, we done waved the white flag when we traded off our best players for minimal draft gain.
Actually, we upgraded with Ernest Jones because technically we got him for
oh well, yeah, that's true.
5th, and I think we traded him away for an extra 4th, which gives us I think 3 this year.
Yeah. and although I was hoping that D Hop was going to get to that 60% snap rate, but
the
KC. Their analytics department, they did that on purpose,
man. And then we got them right back because we got their assistant GM. So
yeah, and I agree. But I also, hey, Aaron, I tell you this, man. I was saying to somebody, and there are some reports coming out that he's pretty happy where he's at, but whatever. I said when he left, wouldn't it be funny if he left? And he is on his last year of his contract. If we re-signed him in the offseason, I thought that would be like the best, hoodoo pick, thing in the world. But
Bergonzi might work. We don't know, man. Bergonzi might work some magic.
I like calling him Gonzo, man. I don't know why that seems to work for me, but I just like
see if it sticks.
I'm gonna keep going with it. Yeah. Most of my nicknames don't stick, but that's okay.
Borgie, Gonzo. I mean,
Jesus.
I mean, hey man, we'll see what happens.
Sounds
I'll
like
shoot both of them. I'll shoot both of them at him at the combine, and I'll give.
Oh, there you go. Sweet. So since we're talking about him, he was the hire. First of all, I know you don't agree with I don't. What is your stance on the Rand firing?
The only thing I didn't like, and this is just me personally, I don't like crapping on the guy when he's already fired. That to me, that was classless, right? It was calling a spade a spade. It was classless, and if it came from Brinker, did he clean it up, right, really well, and his with Rachel and those guys over at RKW. He cleaned it up really well. But from the time that we had 2 years with the guy, right? You're in his face. I'm in his face all the time. Rand was a cool guy. I mean, he didn't shy away from the media. He would talk to you off the record. Players loved him, right? Coaches adored him. Amy seemed like she was in his pocket, right? As far as like ride or die for Rand. I mean, she chose to let go of Vrabel and keep him. I told you what I heard pre-show. And I mean, if that was true, then I mean, hey, it sucks, right? Sucks that that would be the reason why a guy gets fired. But at the same time, sometimes you reach a pinnacle with a certain player or personnel or staff. And it's the way that the league is. The Texans reached a pinnacle, and I know they're the rivals, but I mean, just using them as an example, they felt like they reached a pinnacle with Bobby Slowick. They let him go today. Right?
That was a wow shock for me, man. That blew my mind.
But you feel like you reach a pinnacle, you reach a mountaintop, right? And you're trying to get to this next level, and this is the thing that's blocking you. You got to let it go. And so like now, I think if you're Amy, which I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into her and this whole thing, but I mean, like I said, it sucked, man. Like it zapped the energy out that room when you hear Rand Carthon's been fired. It zapped some of that energy out of that media room because he was a light, man. I mean, he he loved to laugh. He brought a special kind of energy to the franchise, and it's going to be fun to see what Borgonzi brings. Does he bring that rant? He seems like a cool guy. I mean, his introductory interview was, I mean, it was business, but I mean, you can tell he has a personality as well. And I mean, how can you hate a guy with a Boston accent, right? Like,
Yeah, it's especially with the name Borgonzi,
yeah,
man. I mean, he sounds like a mafia dude or something.
yeah. I don't know if you guys like paid attention, but like, I mean, I watched the RFK movie when I was growing up, and I mean, when a guy says org, the organization, I love being part of this organization. Like, it's just, I don't know. To me, it was just like that's a cool accent, and I mean, the guy's track record is, I mean, if you go look at Borgonzi's track record, I don't think you could have hired a better guy. That is, to me, to be Rand's replacement. That's a hard act to follow. John Robinson, on the other hand, not a hard act to follow. I mean, you
No,
can't get worse in the basement, right? But
no, it's pretty easy actually.
yeah, like when you upgrade from a storm shelter to a 2-story house, right? It's hard to get better than that. And I mean, by the resume alone, it looks like we got a skyrise. So
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest with you. You know, it's the point you were trying to make. I think there is don't let good get in the way of great.
yeah,
Because that, I mean, I tell my football kids that all the time. You know, you don't accept. All right, I'm the pinnacle at this level. You know, I can destroy everybody at this level. So I'm just gonna stay right here. No, you keep pushing yourself and keep driving yourself to be better. And I feel like maybe that's what they're trying to do in the front office.
it's what it
Also,
feels
I think
like.
they were trying to eliminate Amy from making football decisions.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that. But
So yeah, and I think that's because nothing against Amy. I love our owner. I've said it many times over.
I think she's one of the best in the league.
She she is. Yeah, honestly, she is. She's one of the coolest owners in the league. I'll say that for sure. She mixes it up with fans at the stadium. I've seen her talking to regular old people like me. And that is something alone that you don't see a lot of. So I mean, and I do think that she has the best interest in the team. I mean, obviously, it's like her business. She wants to see it profit. So obviously, she wants to see it better. So she's doing what she can or what she thinks she's going to do to make it better, even if we don't agree with that. Assessment. I think honestly, it's just what she thinks is best. And again, I think she's taken herself out of a lot of the small, unless she's wanting to fire Chad Brinker. I don't think she's going to be making any more football decisions.
I think she did what Dallas Cowboys fans, with Indianapolis Colts fans, and a couple other franchises around the league have been asking their owners to do for decades, right? Which is removing, as an owner, removing themselves from the football conversations, right? If it has to do with money, here's my wallet, right? And if it has to do with marketing, here's my wallet. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do. But when it comes to football conversations, you do not want your billionaire, unfortunately, for lack of a better word, you don't want your billionaire toddler in the room, right? Because that's what owners are. That's what football owners are. Like sports team owners, they're toddlers when it comes to the minutia of building teams. Most of they don't
they
know.
don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and if you talk to Amy and ask her, hey, what's the difference between cover 2 and cover 4? She couldn't tell you. Right? Like, I don't know. Right? Like, she's probably gonna look at you and be like, the difference between a limousine and a regular, country car. I don't know. Like, that she doesn't. So, like, I mean, her allowing Brinker to make all the organizational, and speak for the organization on the football side, and the Hill to speak for the organization on like the logistics side of things, I think it was a smart move. Be the owner, Amy. Show up on Sundays. Be your bubbly, quirky self, right? Be the Miss Amy that we know and love. But leave the football to the football guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And all right, so one more thing I have to ask, and
Mhm.
if you can't comment on it, that's cool. But what the hell is going on with Colt Anderson? Have we any final determination on what he is for our organization, or if he's even a part of our
Yeah.
organization anymore?
So media hat on, we don't know. We do know that Fassel is the Fassel is the coordinator. He is officially the assistant head coach / special teams coordinator. So that is his role with the team. He is what Colt Anderson was last year.
Okay.
Um, we hired Stewart, who was a draft pick, like a former draft pick of our team back in like '96 or something crazy.
Yeah.
Safety. He's now the special team assistant. So as far as we're concerned, as far as media is concerned, Cole Anderson is still a coach for the Titans. In what capacity, we don't know. Um, is his role might change. He might not even have anything to do with the special teams, right? Like, but it's a lot of smoke and mirrors right now, right? With him, it's a lot of we don't know. I don't even know if the guy is like in Nashville right now. So it's just,
Oof.
yeah. So it's just one of those things where it's like, who shot JR, right? Like, tune
Nobody
in.
knows.
Yeah, tune in next episode, right? Like, like so. I'm kind of playing it by ear, and so is everyone else. Like, like I said, the and the way that they did it was kind of weird too, right? Like, there was no Cole Anderson is maybe on the hot seat. Hey, the Titans are looking at releasing Cole Anderson, or the two sides are in deliberation of what his future is going to be with the team.
None
It
of
was
that.
just on,
Hey, we hired a special teams
yeah,
coordinator.
it's just on Wednesday. Like on Wednesday, it was the Titans have hired Bones Fassel as the special teams coordinator. Oh, okay. What about Cole Anderson?
Yeah, do we have two now?
Yeah, like what happened? And then today or yesterday, they've hired Stewart, former draft pick of the Houston Oilers, like, like safety and as the special teams assistant. But what about the guy who was on the sidelines in 2024? Who's we don't know if he's still on the roster, like as a coach or not. So again, we don't know, and this may be part of that structure, right? That's still kind of being ironed out because Brinker does all of the Brinker's a, like he does all of the he's in charge of the uh organizational like day-to-day stuff, right? Borgonzi is going to be doing draft, roster, and coaching staff, and then uh Callahan's over his own coaching staff, right? Hires and fires, and then roster, construction. So like I don't know if this is a Callahan is saying like, hey, maybe we can get him into a different role, or if this is a Brinker's going to pull the big boy, pin out and say like terminate it immediately. We don't. There's nothing that like we have that's saying we're lost, man. Like we're as
All
lost
right.
as the fans. Right? This is for the first time as a media member. I can say I don't have an answer for you. Like
Right
everything that
on.
I'm saying is speculation and like media jargon just to tell you like it's a fancy way of saying I don't know.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for being candid with me. All right, so it is pretty close to that time in the show. I
Oh,
won't put you on the spot. I'm gonna go ahead and give you my answer because I've had 2 weeks to think about it.
yeah.
But right now, if if draft was happening right now with what I've seen on film, God, I can't believe I'm saying I would draft Cam Ward. And it's simply because he has good he has good pocket presence, and I feel like he's got the arm to make every throw. He does. I think he does have a little bit of that hero ball in him, so we need to kind of coach that out of him. But overall, I mean, when it comes down to it, Shadur Sanders, I guess, is the better pure pocket passer or football brain. I don't know if that's truly accurate, but my point is I don't want the circus that goes along with that guy. I would rather have Cam Ward, who is, doesn't come with a circus. We're just basically developing him like a normal football player would be developed.
You stole my answer, thanks. But no, no. But Cam Ward has been my favorite for this team for a while. I agree with you. And it's not that I don't want Shador as a Titan, right? I think Shador is a damn good player, damn good quarterback, NFL pedigree, right, through his father. I think the problem, like you said, that comes with it is the media circus. We will pick Josh Simmons and piss everybody off. Oh my God. But I think, like you said, everything you said with Cam Ward, but also the added. This is where I think people miss with Cam Ward. If you watch his games, Miami didn't have a great defense this year. He didn't have the best offensive line.
Oh no, yeah.
He didn't have the best receivers at Miami. Xavier Restrepo and George were amazing, right? Number 7, number 3, those two guys pop off the screen when you watch Miami tape. But Miami's defense goes out and gives up a touchdown, game's tied, or they're down 7 or they're down 3. Cam Ward, number 1, just goes over to the sideline, puts his helmet on, and says, we need another touchdown. Okay, I'm going to go do my job. Like, that to me is, and when he's on the sideline, he's just looking. Like, he's not rattled. He's not flustered. He's not looking at, he's not looking for stars, right? He's steely-eyed focused on what the job is. So to me, that's what I'm looking for in the quarterback. That's what I need in a quarterback. I watched 2 guys the last 2 out of the last 3 years in Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen go at each other's necks. And neither one of them blinked an eye, right? One scores, the other one puts their helmet on and says, all right, we need a touchdown. Let's go fucking score. Right? Like number 15 scores, number 17 goes and scores, and those games have come down to the last possession to see who's going to go make it, and it might damn well do it again this Sunday. So
yeah, and I'll be honest, that's why I like Cam Ward so much, is because he's got that mobile part of his game that I think that if Will Levis had, he might actually be really good.
He just doesn't use it, and when he does use it,
I was gonna say he doesn't use it well.
Yeah, and when he does use it, it's in like the most inopportune time. So, like, to me, like I said, like Cam was my QB2 all the way up until that bowl game. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, they played Iowa State. But it's like they were one of the best teams in the nation all year long was Iowa State. Their defense was amazing. And Cam Ward went out there and threw 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah.
And he made it look easy. It wasn't labored. It wasn't just the game. Like, okay, I know this is a cliche, Max, but I know you've heard it. Like when the game slows down for you.
Yep.
And it's like it slowed down for him. Like he's sidestepping a pass rusher. He's moving up in the pocket, and he's just layering the ball. Like, I mean, he threw one down the seam to the tight end that, I mean.
Best example is when he just like quit playing for a second.
Yeah,
he just like literally just stands there and then he just like.
Yeah, he throws the ball flat-footed. Yeah, so like, and then I look at Shador, who played against a team who's nowhere near as talented as the team that Cam Ward played against earlier that day, and he struggled. And so, like, it's not to say that he's going to struggle in the NFL. It's not to say he's a bad quarterback, but that to me was the great separator between the two. This kid made it look easy against one of the best teams in the nation that were in the top 10 all year. And you struggled against a team that was lucky to get into a bowl game.
Well, yeah, and sometimes you don't know if it's a system quarterback or a quarterback in the system. You know what I mean? And, Shador, he could be great in a different system, but we don't know. And because the only thing he's ever done is played for his dad.
Right. And here's the thing, Max, and I don't know if you thought of this yet. You probably have. You're a smart guy. The reason I also don't want Shador here is because let's say we struggle next year. Let's say we draft Shador Sanders, first pick overall, with the number 1 pick, Titans select Shador Sanders. And the Titans are 2-6 heading into week 9. Right? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, Brian Callahan is going to get fired, probably.
Brian Callahan's on a hot seat, and who's the next candidate? Who's the first candidate that you think is going to come on like that is going to come out of people's mouths? Deion Sanders, right? Like Deion Sanders should be on the sideline. Deion Sanders should be coaching his son. He played. I don't want that because of the simple fact that Brian Callahan deserves a chance to grow with his young quarterback, grow his system, and coach his football team without having that looming over his shoulder and having to like watch his back, right? Come on, guys. Let's keep it serious here. Come on, guys. Indianapolis has a lot more needs than quarterback, believe me.
Oh God, yeah.
But Deion saying it's just like I don't think a coach should have to worry about having that weight on his shoulders, right? And so to me, give me Cam Ward, like you said, let him develop him and grow like a regular guy, like a regular rookie. There's already going to be a circus because he's a first overall draft pick. So even if you trot number 8 out there, they're going to be calling for that kid to be playing. Number 8 doesn't play well. And so there's already that circus. Don't add and compound onto the circus. Don't add more clowns than you need because you only have one big top, right? So it's gonna be interesting, man. Like we got 3 months until the draft. We've got what the All-Star game comes around next. So East-West Shrine game is Thursday, and then 3 days after that is the Reese's Senior Bowl. So we're gonna get those All-Star games out the way, and then it's the countdown to it's 4 weeks from then until the combine. So it's full swing, and then right after the combine, free agency, and then
and then the draft.
So it's going to be an interesting thing, but I want Titans fans to kind of take everything you're hearing right now with a grain of salt, right?
Yep.
Like Titans brass and Callahan met with Shador Sanders today, and you heard all the cliche. He's great. He's mature. We love his attitude. Like we think he's a great kid. We love what we heard, right? Everyone and their mom is gonna say their Titans are drafting Shador Sanders number 1 overall, right? Cam Ward, they're not interested in Cam Ward. I'm talking to you, Adam Schefter. And then at the Senior Bowl, you're gonna get interviews. They're gonna get them out there in practice, and then you're gonna hear the Titans met with Cam Ward and his representatives, and they're falling in love with Cam Ward again. It's a revolving door, guys. It's a revolving door. You're going to hear smoke screens. And just to give you a prime example, the Houston Texans said, we're not interested in any of the quarterbacks. We're not enamored with any of the quarterbacks in this quarterback class. And then what did they do? They drafted C.J. Stroud. And then they traded up and drafted Will Anderson.
Yeah, I know.
So, again, like, unless Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, and Amy Adams-Strunk and Brian Callahan all come out and say, screw these quarterbacks, we're rolling with Will Levis. I'm rolling with the fact that we're going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, come on, man. Newsom, seriously, man.
Why would I trade the number 1 overall pick for Derrick Henry? Just like, come on, guys. Like,
I mean, he's a joker though. He actually.
I know these are all jokes, and these are serious. Come on, man.
yeah. I mean, seriously, man. But I will say, there's other good options there too. Carter's not a bad option, but I feel like we have bigger needs than just Carter. And again, Travis Hunter's another option that I think is fantastic. Doesn't matter which side of the ball he really wants to play, but Rather have him as a wide receiver.
Yeah, I think he's depending on what the team he goes to, I think he's a better. My issue with Travis Hunter is, as good of a talent as he is, when evaluating him, there's about 3 or 4 receivers that are better than him in this class, and there are about 4 or 5 cornerbacks that are better than him in this class.
Yeah.
You're not the best at either one, so picking you at one is almost like, did I get the best receiver? No. Did I get the best corner? No. You just got a hell of an athlete, right? So,
Yep.
and it's and I get it, right? Oh, he's a generational talent, but is he generational because he's generationally good, or is he generational because we haven't seen a player like him before?
Or
And
it's just been so long since we've seen one play both sides.
right. And
well.
so, like, if you're the Titans, okay, you draft him. Great. Does he play next to Calvin Ridley? Or does he play next to L'Jarius Sneed?
And it also goes to say of is that not just a product of playing for Deion Sanders?
Right. Because he has another kid. He has another kid that's coming right behind Travis that he's saying is going to be the next two-way player. So
exactly.
I mean, at a certain point, I think you have to take the blinders off for some of these kids and ask yourself, but this is what I have to do when I'm evaluating, right? Put myself in the mind of a GM or a scout, right? Like if I'm scouting Travis Hunter for the Titans, what am I looking at? Okay, if I'm looking at a great corner, no, man-to-man, he gets beat a lot, right? Man-to-man coverage, which I know that my defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, likes to run. He likes to run press man coverage.
Exactly. Yeah.
He wants to get in this guy's chest. He wants to create havoc up at the line of scrimmage. Well, Travis Hunter's not strong in that area. He's a cover 3, hip to the sideline, keeping his eyes in the backfield corner. I don't run a lot of zone, right? Well, as a receiver, what does he do well as a receiver? Well, he's not the fastest guy, but he's shifty. He probably has the best hands of any receiver in the draft class, but he's not a strong route runner. And I have a coach who runs a system that's predicated upon route running and timing. So he doesn't fit either one of the things that I need on this team for what I run. So again, like the kid's a really good talent. I think he's going to go top 5. But if I'm the Titans, I'm letting Jacksonville or Cleveland or whoever else in the top 5, I'm letting them have them, right? Because I need to get what I don't have and what everyone else who's winning right now has, and that's a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you go with anything but quarterback at number 1, you have to be sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. You have to be sure that guy, first of all, is going to be the best unquestionably in the draft. And then, you also have to worry about, not meeting what, I mean, clearly she's not going to be waiting around long. We've seen that, fellas.
What you don't want to happen is you pass on Shadur Sanders, you pass on Cam Ward, and when you play them, they end up beating you.
Yeah, they light you up. Yeah.
So like I said, man, like this is probably the most nerve-wracking time. And the reason it's nerve-wracking is because the fan in me is like, we have the number 1 overall pick, first time ever in my lifetime that we've ever had it.
Yep.
But at the same time, it's also nerve-wracking because we have the number 1 overall pick. So now everyone is like, the Titans should trade the number 1 overall pick to the Dallas Cowboys and take Dak Prescott. Like, why would I do that? Like, well, why?
What kind of acid are y'all taking?
Right. Like, trade the number 1 overall pick to Pittsburgh and take George Pickens and TJ Watt. That sounds better, but why?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, like those guys, they made their choices. They, and they're fine with their choices. Let me get my quarterback that I've been waiting for. I would have loved this to have been Arch Manning so I could stick it to the Colts. Right? Like, because that's what I wanted. Honestly, Max, and I know we'll probably have to get off of here soon, but that's what I really wanted. I wanted to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. last year and then turn around and draft Arch Manning and so the Colts could see how it felt to see
a Manning to Harrison.
Manning to Harrison all for for
that would have actually
years.
been pretty cool.
Yeah, man. But we're not going to get that, unfortunately. But Yeah. Maybe those guys will have kids, and then we'll see it when
Yeah,
I'm
there you go. Yeah, the
when I'm
third.
70, 80 years old and retired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when we're all old and about dead,
Yeah, and
can't
we're
even enjoy it anymore.
podcasts are holograms and
Some newfangled thing.
yeah,
I don't
something,
know.
man. But yeah, man. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be fun, and I'm sure you're gonna do your due diligence, and this won't be the last time I'm on the show. I'm pretty sure. So like,
Mm.
we'll chop it up, and you know,
Yeah, we'll definitely have you on when it gets closer to draft time. We always love to do that. But yeah, man, absolutely love having you on the show as always. People, if you don't know him by now, you got to get on track. Courtland Griffin, the C1 Griffey on X. You're also on Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook.
I'm everywhere, man.
I was
Also,
gonna say
guys,
halftime show. Yeah, go for it.
if you follow me on X, I've posted up to this point almost 110 scouting reports on individual players this year. Coming into the draft class, some of them went back to school, so that's going to be fun. I can also mark those guys off the list, so I don't have to do those guys next year. But if you need, if you're looking for information on players, if you're looking at what guys to watch and look for, if you're looking for mock drafts, I've got all of that on the clock, which is my my draft publication. Link is on my Twitter, and you can find my big board on the 3-point conversion. So if you're looking for draft information, whether it's Titans or not, all right, that part I don't discriminate against. But if you're looking for it, man, just find me on Twitter, right? And on Facebook, Courtland Griffin on Facebook. I post them on there as well. So I mean, it's gonna be a fun time, and of course, you can find me, in the comment section of Max's show, or in I'm pretty sure some AFC South, obscure AFC South group chat where I'm annoyed and I've put it on silent a couple of times.
I've had to do that as well. Yeah, no, I feel you.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, it's like I said, it's a fun time of the year if you're a Titans fan, because the team is rounding that corner, right? It's just one of those situations where it's dark. It's dark right now, but it can't get darker than this. So,
Hey,
unless
man,
you
absolutely. Yeah, I try not to say that. Knock on wood.
unless you're the Cleveland Browns, but
Yeah, exactly. Wealth of knowledge as usual. Like I said, yeah, and definitely when it comes to draft things, all things college transition to NFL. You are definitely one of my go-to guys when it comes to that information. So go check him out if you ain't checked him out before. If you've hung around with us this long, we appreciate it, man. Share it around. We try to get to as many people as we can. And, we just do it for you guys, because I just love chatting it up.
oh yeah,
And I really got nothing better to do. So there's that. Plus, I need a distraction
we're working on getting this guy in the Titans games, man. We're working on getting this guy bigger than just a weekly podcast for sure.
Yeah, man. I tell you what, I would absolutely one of these days. I keep saying one of these days I'm going to be in that booth with you, or at least around you somewhere like that. Maybe
Hey,
on the sideline or something at a
hey,
practice or something.
there's plenty of room.
Um,
Man. It was dead up there this year, so there's plenty of room. Believe me.
Heck yeah, we really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us, Courtland. Thank you again. Yeah, until next time, next Friday, we'll see you guys again. Link should be here. Maybe with a new edition. Anyway, until then, tighten up. Peace out.
Peace, guys.